Guys, so today we're answering some common questions around Data Studio. So one of the questions that kind of gets thrown around is Data Studio better than spreadsheets? So, in other words, should I be creating my dashboard in Data Studio, or should I be creating it in a spreadsheet or a Google Sheet spreadsheet, right? So one of the reasons that people ask this is basically because typically a lot of the data, usually if it's ad hoc or as very esoteric data, it'll live in a spreadsheet, or if it's online, it'll live in your Google Sheet, right? So it just makes sense if you just want to put a graph on top of it. It makes sense to put a graph on top of that and put it inside the spreadsheet, right? Now, the short answer to this question is basically it's way better to do it in Data Studio. So one reason for that is, and it's not a small reason, is if you look at Google Sheets, let's say Google Sheets, Excel's the same thing. Look at some of the dashboards here. They're not great looking. They're very, boxy, and some of them can get like better, but they're not. It's graphs put together. Doesn't feel like a dashboard, right? Whereas if your, a Data Studio dashboard can feel way, way, way better. Like it looks more professional. Even this is a great one, but even this one looks way better, way cleaner than a spreadsheet dashboard, right? Now, why is this important? Well, look at this one. This looks super professional, right? Now, why is the look and feel of a dashboard or a graph or spreadsheet? Why is that important? Why does it make a difference, right? Well, one of the main obstacles to all dashboards, to every report, every graph, is getting the message across. So whatever the message in your graph, whatever the message or messages in your dashboard are, the main obstacle is getting that message from the graph to the end user, to the stakeholder, right? And one of the easiest ways to hinder that message coming across, or to basically shoot yourself in the foot, is to have a poorly designed, poorly looking dashboard or graph, right? So when it comes to the business intelligence or BI, is effectively, there's a whole field of study or field of research into how to design graphs and dashboards to most effectively communicate the message across. So things like, in terms of graphs, getting your graph titles, nice and neat and super explanatory and simple, having clean and clear axes, color schemes, all that sort of stuff, all the stuff that applies to individual graphs, and making those super nice and neat and tight and simple to be able to pick up what the numbers are, to get the message within a few seconds, split seconds, even within 2-3 seconds, as opposed to 3 minutes. All those considerations are going to a single graph, going to a dashboard, and they amplify because there's more graphs to think about in terms of when you think about dashboards. So having a more professional tool like Data Studio over a spreadsheet just makes so much more sense, when you think about it from that angle. Now, the other sort of thing you want to consider is when you're when you design a dashboard in Data Studio, the end user can't actually change the numbers. You control what interactivity they have with the numbers. Can they click here? Can they click there? Can they drill in there? Can they filter there, right? Whereas a spreadsheet, it's harder to do that, right? Now, you can lock down the spreadsheets, you can lock down graphs, you can lock down cells, but why would you want to do that if it's way easier to do that in Data Studio, right? So Data Studio allows you to do that a lot quicker, a lot easier, and with security and data security considerations in mind. Whereas a spreadsheet is actually designed for quick, 1+1 kind of calculations at its very core, right? Whereas or spreadsheet is actually designed for quick calculations, and you add a graph here or there to sort of explain some of the data in there, right? Now, at what point do you go from a spreadsheet, one graph in a spreadsheet, to many graphs or a dashboard in Data Studio? Well, it's a fine line. You have to balance that out, right? Balance the pros and cons, right? A very simple way of deciding is if it's a quick report that you're whipping up and it's an ad hoc thing and it's probably never going to be run again, or the data doesn't need to be refreshed, spreadsheet could be quicker to do and you can make it look professional, right? But when it comes to dashboards that need to have constantly refreshing data, live data, stakeholders are going to be using it repeatedly. You want to make it look professional. Data Studio is probably the side you want to go on. And if you're using Data Studio, that means you can actually connect it to your data sources and make sure that it's refreshing on a fairly regular basis, right? So basically, nutshell, is Data Studio better than spreadsheets for dashboards? Yes, it is. Point blank, it's way better in more than just looks and feels, right? Way. So take that into consideration next time you're thinking about what application you want to be doing your spreadsheeting. So if you like this answer, if you liked what you've heard, give us a like on this video. Thanks, guys.